horses.
Great developer name, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely spectacular developer name.
I really wish they would do like a parody song of their company to that song "Wild Wild Horses." Wild Wild Horses.
That's good. That's a good one.
We should send that to them. Like, hey, if you need a marketing idea, you're fucking welcome, bro.
You got it. No problem. Here you go. You want your next game? It's literally just a loop of that song to a horse running. That's the whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over quite well.
You can have that for free.
That one's free, young horses. You're welcome.
Don't say I never gave you nothing.
Don't say we never gave you nothing. On this, the day of my daughter's wedding.
On this, the day of my podcast releasing.
Your Xbox Game Pass Game of the Month Club.
I'm Spencer. And I'm Mark. That spells Spark.
Your spark of inspiration to explore Game Pass.
Charging sequence at 30%, 50%, Chief, 70%, 90%.
This is Spark Pass.
Hey everybody, welcome to Spark Pass, your Game Pass Game of the Month Club. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mark, and bunger, 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 bunger. That's how we're starting the podcast today. I'm joined, as always, by the crapple of my eye, Spencer. How you doing, bud?
Bunger. I'm doing good, man. I'm
good. Good.
A little sleepy. Didn't get a lot of sleep because I woke up too early. But, we got coffee, so we making it.
I mean, it's the universal elixir, right? Like, it's just everything is fixed by, hey, I have coffee in front of me, therefore I'm okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's 100%.
And it's like 1,000 degrees outside, so I put a bunch of ice in this one. Nice little iced beverage.
Yeah, I mean, I literally made a frozen coffee treat this past week.
I learned recently how to make frappuccinos at home.
Ooh, there you go.
My man, that is dangerous knowledge that I have amassed.
No, for sure.
So hot outside, and this is just like, I wake up and I'm like, it's already 85 degrees. I guess I should have a frappuccino as my morning coffee. Good Lord.
Yep. Enjoy those 800 calories or whatever the fuck it is.
Look, man, it cools me off. I'm doing what I can out here this summer, all right?
No, we are absolutely...
I'm not going to make it.
We are absolutely not thriving, but surviving in this heat, my friend. So I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all have been enjoying the extra content on the podcast feed. Of course, this is the month of June. This is the anniversary of Spark Pass as an idea, so we're doing a big blowout this month. Hope you guys enjoyed our recap of the Xbox Bethesda showcase. Hope you guys enjoyed my audio essay on Tunic. In fact, I can say for sure I've gotten a couple of very nice messages about that one. Apparently that one went over quite well. This is our main episode, and next week we're going to do an audio essay on, what's the name of the video game? Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. That's coming out next week, so keep your feeds locked on that. But today, we're talking about Bugsnax. It's our normal episode of the show. We're going to do our normal thing. So let's get into our normal thing, Spencer. You ready for some Game Pass news?
Yes, hit me with that Game Pass news.
So very quickly, real quick, because we haven't talked about it on the podcast feed, we both watched the Xbox Bethesda Extended, right?
I watched most of it. I started to watch it and then got pulled away by work stuff, so I didn't finish all of it, but I went back and looked at most of, like, the trailers, at least.
Right, yeah. So, not a ton coming out of that. There's a couple little tidbits that I want to throw in real quick. Valheim is coming to Game Pass in 2023 and is also getting a console port that's going to be on Xbox, obviously. That's coming spring 2023. That's very cool. And then the other one is one that I know you're pumped about. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is coming day one to Game Pass.
I was just about to say, if you don't say it, I was going to move my chair back from my desk so that I could shout it. That Texas Chainsaw Massacre is coming to Game Pass, baby! Oh, I'm so excited for that game!
Yeah, dude.
Yes, dude.
Literally, the second I saw the trailer, I was like, I have to text Spencer. He must know.
Yup. I have been following that game very closely. I follow a lot of the dev team on Twitter and Instagram, and every now and then interact with one another, since the horror community is a fairly tight-knit community.
Right.
And dude, I'm so freaking ready for this game. Like, Friday the 13th was a really good game. It had the problem of all of the lawsuits and legal battles going on over the franchise ownership, and then Gun Media, the poor wonderful folks there, got caught in the middle. And I followed their like CEO of the studio, and he has been very transparent about how they go about licensing and stuff now. And like, they're like, we did everything, literally everything down to the letter right. This is not getting taken away from us like the last one did. And I think that this game is going to just be fucking amazing.
I'm actually really excited about this one too, because as you know, I'm not a huge horror guy, but the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original film, is one of my favorite films. It is a genuinely...
The cinematic masterpiece of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yes.
It absolutely phenomenal film, right?
Dude, so good.
Of the horror things you could get me into, this is one of them. And I'm very excited that it's coming to Game Pass, and obviously we're going to have to do an episode on it now.
And a more selfish reason I'm excited about it coming to Game Pass is now I can just play it on the Sunday streams whenever I do the stream. I'm like, great, I have a reason and an excuse to play even more Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yes, I will take all I can get.
Absolutely. No, I'm super excited. You know this game better than I do. Have they put a release date on this, or is it still 2023?
I want to say it's still 2023. Let me triple check that for you, though.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure we didn't, because we would have seen it on that trailer.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think that trailer had a date on it.
Yes, I know when the movie came out originally. Thank you very much. We're still looking at 2023 as the current release window. And that's for PS5, Series X, S, PS4, One, and PC as of now.
Gotcha. Cool. So that is coming in 2023. Obviously, you might get 2 horror games out of me in 2023, dude. Like, think about that distinct possibility.
That's what I'm talking about. We might even get 3 if we shoot for the moon.
You keep on believing, brother. I believe in you. If it doesn't come out expressly in September, right before October, before we do the October show, you might get 2 out of me. So those are the 2 big announcements that came out of the Xbox Bethesda Extended Showcase. There's some other cool stuff there too. The other, in fact, probably the biggest piece of news there actually. Stalker 2 has been delayed to 2023, which I think we all kind of saw coming, given that the developer is in Ukraine, and obviously there's a lot going on in Ukraine right now. I don't want to delve too deeply into it because, I do want this to be an escape for folks, but there was a video that was part of the Extended Showcase. It actually closed the Extended Showcase that showed what the development team at GSC Game World is going through right now with everything that's going on. Their development studio is in the heart of Kyiv downtown, right? Yeah. So they've obviously gone through a lot. So I think that's important to go watch. Go check that out as well. If you can only catch one thing from the Extended Showcase, go check that out. But overall, I thought the Extended Showcase was a good show. I had this thought. I like the whole trailers and only trailers, just show me gameplay shows. But I also really love these little developer sit-downs too. Because, there's some games that just come together a lot better when you have somebody there explaining it for you. Yeah. Perfect example, Pentiment, which we talked about in our Xbox Bethesda show as a game that doesn't trailer very well. Mm-hmm. I became much more excited about that game because we had the development team sitting there telling us what kind of game it was going to be, sitting there explaining stuff to us, sort of the themes that they're going for. I think it worked a lot better in that format. Should we have a combo of both? Do we think it's good to have these 2 separate, or should they just make it one big hyper show? What do you think?
I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer or right or wrong way to do it. In my opinion, I like the long extended look at things and the behind the scenes, and especially if you give me a rolling shot in a studio of all the PCs where people are working at it, that's just I just love that stuff. Like, I'm a sucker for behind the scenes footage of any kind. I don't know why. I just love that stuff. But I also love just saying, here's all our games, man. Just stay excited. Like, the energy stays higher up, I feel like, in those kind of shows. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think
get that.
they probably do a better job of pulling in, well, not necessarily pulling in as far as viewership goes or anything, but they probably do a better job coming across to maybe the people who like video games but aren't quite as deep in them as we are. You know,
Right.
I have a lot of friends who love gaming and play a lot of video games, but they're like, as soon as it goes past, you put the game in your Xbox and turn it on, and then I play it with my friends, they don't care. You know, they're not deep into the developer world or the news cycle. It's like the game comes out, I played it, great. That's the end of it for them.
Right.
And they love these showcases still to see, here's the new game, here's when it's coming out, and what I can get excited about, and like what I can start texting my buddies about. We might play together in the next year or two. And it kind of, when they start getting into, well, we did this for development, we used this engine and stuff, I can see eyes like glaze over at that stuff. You know what I mean? Of just like,
Right.
What are you talking about? I have no idea what this is. I just want to play this new cool game.
Yeah, I get that, and I do agree that I think that is probably overkill for your main, like, E3 style showcase. But speaking of E3, I miss specifically the guided walkthrough that they used to do on E3 shows.
Yes,
where they would have
those.
Yes, where they have the developer on stage sitting there talking you through what's going on. Like, Todd Howard still does this, right? Whenever they did the unveiling for Starfield. He's like the only one that still does it, right?
Yeah.
So I would love something like that. I think something like that would have worked perfectly for a game like Pentiment, because I'm now much more excited about that game than I was before whenever we just saw it in the main showcase. It was just sort of this weird trailer that didn't really vibe with the rest of what was going on. But now that I know what themes they're going for, you know, now knowing that it's a crime drama, now knowing that they're wanting to take it in a direction of looking at sort of the cardinal sins of humanity, and knowing that that's been a thing for a very long time, and learning more about 15th century Bavaria, I'm much more excited about that game than I was before. And that's solely due to the developers talking me through it, right?
Yeah.
And
I think for those kind of things, it's perfect to have this extra day. Like, I don't think we needed another day of, like, Starfield stuff. We got a lot of stuff, and it's in everyone's mind. It's in everyone's eyes, where a lot of these smaller games, maybe they aren't, and they got kind of glossed over in the big show.
Yeah.
So that's where I do like this. So I'm personally, if I just have to pick one, I would like to see it continue to be these kind of two separate things. One really big, here's everything, we're going to play it and it's going to come out game day. And then a second day of, you know, here's some behind the scenes stuff, or here's a developer coming out and talking about the game that got overshadowed by the next giant AAA game that's coming out, so we can make sure that their game still gets seen and gets across to everyone in the way that's intended.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I like where they've landed on the two separate shows. I just almost wonder, like, maybe bring a tiny smidgen of the developer insight into the trailer-laden show, and I think that will be perfect, right?
Yeah.
I just think it needs a tiny little bit more, but I think they're really close. I like the format that they've got now, and I hope they continue to do that in the future. Overall, solid show. Not really a whole lot to say there, because there's only like a couple little news tidbits of stuff we didn't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was mostly just Valheim and Texas Chainsaw. Those were like the two big announcements. Let's talk about games that are coming to Game Pass this month, stuff you can play. Right now, today as we record this, but I'm just going to shout it out, even though it's old news by the time the episode comes out, because I'm fucking stoked about this game. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge on Game Pass. Came out June 16th, came out today. I just downloaded it, actually. Super excited about this game. My brother and I loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat-em-ups when I was a kid. We played these games incessantly. My brother's a huge TMNT fan, so I love these games. I adore them. Emu and Tribute Games I can already tell, haven't even put hands on the game yet, did a stellar job. Reviews are all out, and they're saying it's all spectacular. I'm super excited about this game, man. This is what I crave. I'm so happy, and thank you, fucking Xbox, for putting this on the service, because I'm stoked. I cannot wait to play this.
Yeah, this game looks cool, man. I liked the old arcade beat 'em up for TMNT and like the Simpsons beat 'em up. Those were like the only arcade games I had access to as a kid for a really long time.
Right?
So,
Yeah.
Like, this feels like it'll be a really, really, really cool nostalgia wave for me. Even like not being a huge TMNT fan, like I like it, but it's not like my main thing, you know. I think it's cool. I'm just not a huge like mega fan. I think it's still gonna be like, oh man, this is what it was like back in the day. I'm just doing it at my desk now.
Right. Yeah. I'm super excited about it. I'm actually taking a vacation with my brother, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after. I'm kind of hoping I might get it on Switch just so that I can play it with him, because it's just easier travel, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
This might be a 2-buy for me. I might get it on Game Pass and actually buy it on Switch. This might be a double up for me. Very excited about this game. Super glad that it's on the service. We got a couple more games that are coming in June. Nothing gigantic. There's nothing earth-shattering here. One fairly big game, though, I guess. Run Trilogy comes out on June 21st, so that's tomorrow as you're listening to this. The Shadowrun, these are like tactical top-down RPGs. There's 3 of them, hence trilogy. These were old PC games that have sort of been remastered and restored. Again, we're not big strategy RPG guys. That's not our jam.
Nope.
But it's cool that these games are coming. A game I know Spencer will have nothing to say about, so I'm just going to glaze over it real quick. FIFA 22. FIFA comes every year. Here it is, June 23rd.
Lol.
And Naraka Blade Point, which is a game that we saw at the Xbox Bethesda Showcase, also coming out on June 23rd. They talked about Naraka Blade Point a little bit more during the extended showcase. They talked about a campaign. Apparently, we're getting Chapter 1 of the campaign on June 23rd, and they'll be releasing the rest of the single-player content periodically over the course of the next few months.
Gotcha.
So that'll be coming on June 23rd. Anything else you want to say about those 3 games? Anything stand out to you about those? Obviously, I know FIFA and Shadowrun, probably not your jam.
Yeah, I don't really know that much about Shadowrun, but the way you described it doesn't really sound like my thing. I could not give a shit less about FIFA. Like, this isn't knocking football or soccer, whichever one you prefer to call it. I don't really care. It's more of the franchise itself is just like bleh to me. Like, yeah, so many microtransactions and like, ugh. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see how EA is going to change this around now that they aren't going to have the FIFA title anymore. I'm still not going to play it, but I'm curious to see how that changes like the kind of the base of everything with the new soccer game of the year. And I still have to go back and watch the trailer for Naraka Blade Point. I forgot that's one of them that I missed from the extended show when I got pulled away. So I still need to go back and see how I feel about that campaign that's coming with it.
Yeah. They just gave a very brief glimpse of it. It wasn't anything too thrilling. But they showed a lot of the character customization, and brother, that character customization is deep. Like, you can do a lot of stuff with the character customization. So I'm excited to, at minimum, mess around with that and play a couple of games of it. I know the Battle Royale genre is super not your jam, but I think it'll be a fun game to mess around with. That's definitely one on my radar that I'm going to try out.
Yeah, and I feel like if there's any kind of games that'll get me into trying a Battle Royale, it's something different. And this feels like it has that feeling to it. Like, it's not drop in, find gun, shoot dude, die, start over. You know, like it's a different combat system than like PUBG and Fortnite and Warzone are. So if anything could get me to at least try it, this would be kind of pushing me towards it.
Sure. Yeah. So that's what's coming to Game Pass. I would tell you what's leaving Game Pass at the end of the month, but we don't know yet. Because of the big Xbox Bethesda showcase, there was no article put out this month. So I don't know what's leaving Game Pass. A bunch of stuff left Game Pass on the 15th, but that's already passed. I'm assuming you know about that by now, by the time you listen to this episode. So I don't know what's leaving Game Pass. We'll find out. It's a mystery to me. That's everything that's going on in Game Pass this month. You ready to talk about our main game, Spencer?
I am.
All right. This is our main topic for this month. We're talking about Bugsnax. This is your Xbox Game Pass Game of the Month Club, and our game this month is Bugsnax. Is made by Young Horses and released in 2020. I want to get one thing clear right away. Whenever this came to Game Pass, the big appeal was that it came with the new expansion, Isle of the Big Snacks. We did not touch the DLC. We're just talking about the base game today. That's the main thing first, right off the top, that I want to clarify is we just played the main game. Second thing is this was a PS5 launch title, and eventually came over to Xbox. I guess that would be 2 years later. Because it would have released in 2020. This was originally a PS5 launch game. And I think the first thing that immediately springs to mind to me is that it felt like a launch game. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like
I can see what you mean.
It felt like a game that okay, there's 8 games on this console, and this is going to be one of them that I played. So top line off the top, Bugsnax is a weird game. It's just weird. It's funky. And that's a good thing, right? It immediately caught my eye and it caught my attention because it is a bizarre game. So to go over the base premise of the game, you play as a journalist who is a grumpus. These grumpuses are basically just these furry humanoid creatures. Everyone in the world is a grumpus, apparently, which I vibe with because I'm fairly grumpy.
Yes,
yeah, 100%. So apparently an island has been discovered called Snacktooth Island, and a discredited adventurer has alleged that they have found these creatures called Bugsnax, which are, as the theme song goes, kind of bug and kind of snack. They're basically snack foods that have been sort of turned into bugs.
Hold on
and so
am I missing? Was there an actual theme song that sang that?
yes, so
apparently completely missed that.
So it's not in the game itself, it was just in the trailers.
That's why I missed it. Gotcha.
Yeah, so in the trailers for the game, and it's probably the reason it caught a lot of people's attention in the PS5 launch window, Caro Caro Bonito, which is this great pop band, put out a song called It's Bugsnax. Kind of bug and kind of snack, try to catch them in your trap. I have this song memorized because I did a whole thing on TikTok about it. Anyway.
Dude, that is exactly what I expected that to sound like. To a T when you said it's in the theme song. In my head I went, the kind of bug, the kind of snacks.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's a great song, unironically a very good song. But that was what sort of initially captured people's imagination with this game of what the fuck is this? It was the song in the trailer that really caught a lot of people's eye, I think. So anyway, you're discredited. You're playing as a journalist. You're trying to get the story on this discredited adventurer who claims that there are Bugsnax in the world. You crash land on Snacktooth Island, and discover that discredited adventurer, Lisbert, is missing. She's MIA. You meet the current mayor of the town, Philbo, and he tells you that Lisbert's missing, and everybody has abandoned Snacksburg, the town that they founded on this island, and your mission basically becomes getting everybody back to town, and interviewing them, interrogating them is probably appropriate to say, to get them to come back and tell you what happened to Lisbert so that you can find her and get the truth on what the nature of Bugsnax are. So that's the base plot. You do this mostly by catching Bugsnax, which is sort of the primary base mechanics. before we get into the game mechanics, story-wise, how did you feel about the premise of Bugsnax? For me, it was kind of weird. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting going into it. Like I didn't get super deep into the story or really feel like it was like that deep of a thing. Like when you land and she's like, and they're like, she's missing. And you're like a journalist that gets called out there to kind of deal with it. I was more just expecting to kind of pull a Pokemon, you know, like, hey, I'm little Timmy that lives in this town and I'm going to go catch some Bugsnax. You know, that's kind of where I was thinking it was going to go when we talked about playing the game.
Yeah. The story in this game is like, it's funny. There's a sort of childish sense of humor about it, but at the same time, it's like a lot deeper than I expected it to be. It's a lot more mature than I expected it to be. Like, a lot of the game's story deals with the sort of interpersonal relationships of the people that live on this island, right? Mm-hmm. And as you meet each character and sort of get into their story, it's really interesting how they focus so much on the villagers and their qualms with one another. Like the guy that keeps Bugsnax as pets has arguments with the guy who farms Bugsnax because obviously one sees them as food and one sees them as, you know, a token of his love, right? There's a bunch of like little interpersonal squabbles between these folks that you have to sort of try to resolve. I almost wanted the game to focus more on that. Like, I feel like that would have been a really interesting way to take it, but then we're not really a game about catching bugs anymore, right?
Yeah.
We've become Animal Crossing at that point a little bit.
Right.
But the story is like surprisingly mature. Basically, you learn over the course of the game that Lizbert and her partner Eggbell were sort of seen as this idyllic couple, but behind the scenes there was sort of internal struggles, drama. Eggbell has depression. She's doesn't want to be so reliant on Lizbert, and they have a fight over it, and that sort of leads to them leaving, right? So it's like a surprisingly complex narrative given the silly premise. I won't sit here and tell you that I loved the story. I wasn't head over heels over it in any means, but it was way more engaging than I expected it to be.
Yeah, for sure.
But to get to those little bits of story, you have to play through the game mechanics. And let me walk you through the mechanics of Bugsnax real quick. You have a trap, you have a net, you place the trap, you somehow lure the bug into the trap, you close the trap, you have the bug, you go feed it to a guy, and he says, great, get me another bug. That's the gameplay loop. Basically, what I have described to you is the entirety of the gameplay loop of Bugsnax. Little repetitive, fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair. That's completely fair. Even like the little bits of things that kind of change it up of like each Bugsnax has to be lured out or into the net in a different way or lured into the trap a different way, and some have to be like knocked out and then caught with a handheld net. Like even that bit of differences to show each Bugsnax isn't the same was still like, by the like fourth one I was kind of like, all right, well, I mean, yeah, they're different, but it's still the same idea of I have to either feed it chocolate or put chocolate on the ground for it to go towards, you know? So it was different, but still not that different.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what really struck me about this game is like the bug designs are really cute and inventive. And obviously I love Bunger is a fan favorite for a reason. Like that goofy little fella, I love him. And there's a lot of really great, like interesting designs, but like they're used in a way that I just think is sort of honestly gets a little mechanically boring after a while. This game is what, like, I think 8-9 hours long, something like that. And by the time I got to about hour 4 or 5, I was like, yeah, I get it. Like, let's start to close this chapter, right? Let's do something new. And the game is just sort of that. That's really all that it is. It's catching these bugs. So if you don't find that part of it particularly engaging, there's not a whole lot else there.
Yeah, yeah, like there's not really a whole lot else to say about that part. I kind of feel the same way of like, I sat down for like my second play session of the game, and I started and kind of picked up where I left off and went, okay, well, let's do this again, I guess. Like the first person that I turned a Bugsnax into immediately went, all right, get me 5 of this next one. I was like, oh my God, you have to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I got to that point, I was like, oh, this gameplay's not going to get that much better, is it?
Yeah, it's one big fetch quest. Like, the whole video game is, hey, I would like for you to come to my village. No, I'm done with the village. I don't want anything to do with that. But could you catch me a couple Bugsnax? You bring them the Bugsnax, you feed them to them. Great. Hey, go catch me a couple more. You go catch a couple more. Great. Hey, you know what? I've changed my mind through the power of love and Bugsnax. I'm going to come to your village. What the hey?
Yeah.
That's the whole gameplay loop until you get to the end game. Like, and the end game is really interesting, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but you really have to get through that big, bulky chunk of here's 8 hours of just this, you know?
Yeah.
And we talked about it off camera. I think we both were really struggling to get through after the first like couple of hours. I think we were both just kind of like, all right, I get it. We caught the bug. We fed it to him, man. Now what?
Yeah. I think after I started working on getting the like 4th villager back, or whatever we want to call them, citizens of the city back, I did not want to do it anymore. I was like, I don't care. And I looked at, there's 12 of them you have to get to go back, and I was like, I'm not even halfway there, and I hate this. Like, not that I hated the game, I was just like, I just don't want to keep doing this same thing for 8 more people. It's too many.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just wish they had done more with, because again, the snack designs are really cute and great. Like, and there's a lot of inventive things that you can do with them. Like, we talked about the Bunger, perfect example. Bunger can knock down walls because he charges you whenever he sees you, right?
Yeah.
You can use that to sort of divert him to knock down crumbling walls. You can use that to find secrets. There's cool stuff like that. I almost wish there was more of it, because at the end of the day, what the game really boils down to is find a bug, catch a bug, feed it to a man.
Yeah.
And I wish they had done more in the puzzle design. I feel like there's some really, in the end game, there is one puzzle you kind of have to solve, but you mostly solve it by getting pieces of a map, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was more puzzles involving the snacks.
Yeah.
Like I wish there was more with, like, you know, there's a Chipu flying in the air. I grab onto it with my grapple hook and it will fly me to somewhere, right? Or
Right.
like you use you like get on the Bunger and ride it into a thing, or like, you know, stuff like that. And there's a little bit of that, but they really only use it to allow you to catch the snack and feed it to a guy, rather than, you know, using that to forward the mystery. And really the game is about the mystery. The catching of bugs and feeding them to people sort of becomes tertiary after a while. And I wanted them to focus more on this sort of interesting mystery story that they've got going on, and use the snacks mechanically in that. And they didn't really do it. Like, it sort of feels like 2 different games, right? There's this mystery adventure game, and there's this game where you catch bugs and feed them to a man.
Yeah, and like that's kind of, I was talking about that a little bit earlier, of the most that it felt like things changed was how you had to catch each one. So like there's one Bugsnax, just for example, that's like, it likes ketchup. So you have to put ketchup on stuff to get it to come out. Okay, cool. okay, the next one likes chocolate. You have to do the exact same thing with chocolate. And I was like, this is just the same thing with a different word in it. And like, I guess I get it. There's probably only so many things you can do to make these Bugsnax be different in like what you do to catch them or what you need to do to interact with them and stuff. But like, okay, I shot ketchup on the ground. Okay, now I had to shoot chocolate on the ground. Oh, okay, neat. Or like, I had to knock this one out of the sky. That was cool. Like, that finally changed it up a little bit. But that was the end of it for me. That's kind of where it felt like it stopped.
So they do layer up in the later parts of the game. They do sort of layer up things interestingly. Like there's one example where there's a Snail on the wall, and there's a Quookie, which is like a little cookie bug that runs around. Both of them like chocolate. The Snail's really slow. The Qookie's really fast, right? So you have to. And if you just lay chocolate on the ground for the Snail to come get it, the Quookie will get it first and go away, and then you can't catch the Snail, right?
Right.
And you need to catch the Snail for the mission. So you need to figure out a way to deal with the Quookie first. You need to either scare it away or get it distracted with something else. There's a Bopsicle that you can use to like attack it, or you can catch it normally, right?
Okay.
So they layer it up a little bit, and there's instances like that are interesting, right? Sort of little mechanical puzzles of trying to figure out, like, okay, well, how do I get this guy to do the thing that I want, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of fun there in, like, the AI manipulation in the later parts of the game. So they do, try to do interesting puzzles with it. They do try. I think they largely succeed in the evolution of the mechanics, and I think they do a decent job. I just, at the end of the day, didn't find the catching of bugs to be particularly engaging after a while.
Yeah.
That's really the thing. And I think if you're going to enjoy this game, and I think there is enjoyability to be found here, I don't think it's a bad game outright. I think they did a decent job, but I think the actual catching of bugs has to be engaging for you for this game to really work. Because I think the story is solid and it's interesting, but I don't think it does quite enough to keep you driving forward. I think the actual gameplay mechanics don't quite do enough for me either, for me to like be in love with it. I thought it was decent. I thought it was solid. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's a terrible game. Because it wasn't at all. But it didn't really come together as a cohesive whole for me, I guess, if that makes sense.
I think that makes perfect sense.
It just didn't really, it never really felt like the story and the gameplay really gelled for me in a way that I was like, yes, I'm with you. I'm in there.
Mm-hmm.
It never got there for me.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe for me, if it would have been like each person, you only had to get like one Bugsnax or like a certain set of like, bring me one of this and one of this and bring them at the same time. If that would have felt better and like made it easier to kind of get to those later stages where there was a little bit more puzzly to catching the Bugsnax. I don't know, because that's what just kind of turned me off really quick was I would get one thing and then I would come back and they go, okay, I need 5 more things. And I was like, why didn't you just tell me that and I could do it all at once? And they're like, 5 more things, please. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, I mean, you could just go get it yourself, you lazy person, but whatever, it's fine, I'll do it. Like, I don't want to get you 415 pineapple things.
Yeah. No,
I kind of just got... I kind of bounced off of that part really fast.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I completely understand it, because I felt similarly, but I pushed through it because I knew that I had been told. I hadn't been told precisely what happened, spoiler-wise, but I knew that there was a twist at some point in the game that changed a lot of things. And I know you didn't get to this part of the game. Did you end up watching the ending? We talked about it.
No.
No? Okay.
I did not.
Well,
probably should,
Well,
but I kind of forgot about it, to be honest with you.
it's fine. Let me spoil the video game for you, Spencer. Let's get into spoiler territory. The twist at the end of this game is buck wild, and I think if they had hit this sooner, I would have been a lot more engaged with the game. So Bugsnax are parasites.
Sure.
They infest its host, which you can see by the arms and legs of the grumpuses changing, right?
Yeah, by them like turning into what they're eating.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Eventually, if you eat enough Bugsnax, you become Bugsnax. You just like explode and turn into Bugsnax.
So that would explain why when I was playing it, I got I got like 3 people back, and then I ended up going back into the town by accident, trying to go like a different direction because I kept getting kind of lost in the map. And I went back in there by accident, and the interim mayor was like, "Hey, do you want to have a party?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I want to have a party." And then at the end of it, he says, "You should eat a bug snack," and you literally can't tell him no. Like, you can beat around it all you want, but eventually the only other option is to eat it, or I guess turn off the game. Like, there's not a way to progress without it. So I did, and then immediately you get like sick and pass out, and like, okay, so that makes sense of why that happened.
Yeah. So they're parasites. Eventually you find out Lisbert was trying to get everybody to leave. So there's these various incidents that once you bring X number of villagers back, you'll have, like you just talked about, those little village events that happen. Where like Filbo wants to try to throw a party or something happens. There's one there's a crash in the middle of the night. And somebody's come and wrecked the village sign and it says "get out" or something like that. There's a few more events like that. You eventually figure out that Lisbert was trying to get everybody to leave the island, try to leave Snacktooth Island entirely, because she and Eggabell have both sort of been consumed by the Bugsnax. But Lisbert was able to hold on, essentially, and she ends up being the one that controls them. And you go to the center of the island, and you find her as like this horrible Bugsnax Grumpus amalgamation creature, and she's like trying to hold the island together, and she can't handle it anymore. You interview her, she tells you the whole story, and then the ending sequence of the game is a daring escape from Snacktooth Island where the Bugsnax are attacking you and trying to like force feed themselves into the Grumpuses, and you have to save everybody and get the fuck out.
Okay.
If they had done that like midway through the game,
yeah.
Rather, this all takes place in like the last 20 minutes of the game. Like, they go through this fast.
Right.
If they had revealed that twist like midway through the game, I would have been so much more engaged with this fucking video game. Basically, all of your traps sort of turn into weapons, and you get to sort of weaponize them to bash the Bugsnax out of the way and stuff and keep them away from folks. They turn it into a combat game at the end of the game.
Yeah, that sounds way more fun.
Yeah, like I wish they had done that twist sooner, because then we can do the stuff we're talking about where, you know, your tool set becomes a lot more mechanically interesting, because now instead of using them to catch, you're using them to get them away from you, right?
Right.
You get to use your tool set in a whole new way. I wish they had done that a lot sooner. So again, the story of this game gets buck wild, and this is precisely why people have talked about Bugsnax being like stealthily a horror game, right? Because it is sort of this like body horror thing if you really sit and think about it for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
It's sort of stealthily a horror game. I don't know that I would put it in that classification. I still think they keep it fairly light. It still works as like a children's game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I wish they had gotten to that a lot sooner, because I think if they had done that, I would have been like, yes, I'm with you. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, it would have just made it feel like I was working towards more and doing more. Because that's kind of what I felt like. I was just like, I feel like by the time I'm at this fourth person trying to bring them back, I'm just doing like nothing. I'm just like going and getting the thing and bringing the thing back, and okay, I'm bored. But yeah, dude, that would have made such a huge change in it.
Yeah, they really only do it. It's like the last like 30 minutes ish of the game. That's really the only time they use that whole thing. And I feel like it's just a missed opportunity. Like, I would have been so much more engaged with the game as a whole if they had done it sooner and made that whole sequence a bit more spaced out and shortened up the whole get everybody to the village part. That's just me.
Yeah, I think so too. That would have helped a lot.
Yeah. So overall, I don't want to belabor the point too badly on this game. It sounds like we sort of feel the same way, that this was not a bad game, but it was not a game we enjoyed.
Yeah, I think that pretty well sums it up. Like, the game didn't play bad. It didn't feel like it was made poorly or anything like that. It was a fine game. I just didn't really enjoy it that much for what I got to. And that's the hard part, is if I don't enjoy, 3 or 4 hours of the game, I'm not going to keep pushing through and hope I enjoy more of it later.
Yeah.
I got to get pulled in a little bit to keep playing it.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame because I like this concept. Like, conceptually, I think the idea of these creepy bugs that are also food running around is really cool. I like the whole idea of we're a funny, fun children's game that slowly morphs into body horror. I think these are all cool ideas, right?
Yeah.
And Young Horse is a very good developer. They made Octodad Dadliest Catch, which was their other, their big sort of coming out party for them as a developer. I think they're a very talented dev team, and I wanted to like this game more than I ended up liking it, and that's a shame. Again, don't think it was badly designed mechanically at all. I don't think they got all the way there with their concept. And it's a bummer. Because I wanted this game. Obviously, I made all the goofy TikTok videos. I was really excited to be able to play this. And it didn't fully get there for me. I think it was a lot of good ideas that didn't fully come together for me as a game that I loved,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of the same mind. Like, I think you were a lot more pumped for the game than I was, but I was still looking forward to it. Like, I liked the art and the style of it. It seemed like goofy and fun, and I liked that part of it. And then I just didn't really like kind of the gameplay loop that much.
Yeah, the gameplay loop just didn't get there for me. So overall, I don't want to say thumbs down, because I don't think that's fair to the game, because I don't think the game is bad. Mm-hmm. It feels like, again, I brought it up at the beginning, but I think it's the most appropriate thing I can say about the game, is that it feels like a launch game. A lot of games, whenever they launch for a system, like, I think of like Rise Son of Rome, for instance, which was a launch game on the Xbox One. A lot of cool ideas, but it feels a little half-baked. It doesn't feel like... Feels like it needed a little bit more time in the oven for its ideas to coalesce into a spectacular game.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about Bugsnax. So I guess that puts me thumbs in the middle, I guess, is where I'm at. Of like, it's not a bad game. I think you can have an enjoyable time with it. And I think, honestly, I think kids would like it a lot more than me as an adult would like it. But I'm thumbs in the middle, I think. I'm like, it's fine, but I'm not in love.
Yeah, I'm thumbs in the middle on this one. I think give it a shot and see if you like it. The gameplay loop might do it for you more than it did for us. Or you might just be able to kind of, power through it because of the rest of the game that's around it, like the kind of deeper story there, or just the art style in general. But yeah, I wasn't in love with it, but I also didn't hate it. So yeah, super thumbs middle on this one.
Cool. Very good.
Before we move on, though, this is sort of related to Bugsnax. I told you off mic and off camera and all that stuff that I did something different this time for this game, and I had like a thing that we could talk about.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Okay, yeah.
So I played every bit of this through xCloud.
Okay.
I recently got a tablet. I got the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus. It's a mouthful of a name for a tablet, but I recently got one. So it's a pretty big screen that I could play it on and hooked my controller up to it. It's only on Wi-Fi, so this maybe take a little bit of a grain of salt as far as like performance wise goes, because I have pretty good internet at my house. But dude, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it was flawless. Not one connection issue. Not one point did it drop quality on screen or lag in any way, shape, or form. It was perfect.
xCloud has been improving a ton. So I play some xCloud stuff on my phone in bed before I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I use it a little bit. And I wouldn't want to play like a shooter on it.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't want to play like an action game on it. But for a game like this, or like an RPG or something like that, it's phenomenal. Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm not surprised that you had a very good experience with it, because like really the only times I've ever had issues with it is whenever I have low connectivity out in the wild with humanity, right? Like if I'm on like a 4G connection, you know, it can be spotty. You can get the job done. Like if you just need to check into like a daily game or whatever, like a game you need to log into every day to get some kind of reward, it gets the job done, right?
Right.
But on a 4G connection, it's not exceptional. Apparently on 5G, it's a lot better, but I don't have a 5G phone, right? At least not yet. We'll get there one of these days.
Yeah.
But
you might have to test that.
Yeah,
My
give
phone
that a
has
go.
5G now. But also where I live, the 5G isn't amazing, so it may not be that big of a difference.
Right, yeah, it's really good here. It's really good where I live, so I'm anxious to test that out at some point. But on a home Wi-Fi network, yeah, it's awesome. Like, it's really great. They've made a lot of improvements to it since the last time we talked about it.
Yeah, and like this was kind of this felt like the perfect scenario of xCloud for me. Of, all right, this is a game that I don't know if I'm into, and I can just pop it up really quick on xCloud and try it for a couple hours. And if I love it, I can download it, or I can just keep playing it through xCloud. But having it, I think it works well on phones, you know, but I think having it on like tablets or like lower end PCs, maybe like a laptop, if you have like you bought a laptop for school and it can't run games, but you have good internet, this is like a great supplemental for your console.
Yeah.
And I could just kick back on the couch and, you know, I put it up on the coffee table and just played away on it. It was nice.
Yeah, I think a Chromebook is the perfect use case for xCloud, for instance. Like something like that.
Can you do xCloud in the browser?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. I didn't know if it was in the browser or just an app.
I'm not 100% certain, to be completely honest with you. I really haven't messed with xCloud much on PC. I've mostly just messed with it on my phone using the app. So
yeah.
I can't say with any sort
of
certainty.
It supports it.
Sick. Yeah, that's what I thought. I just
Google search. Yeah, dude, this is perfect for Chromebooks or for, you know, the $300, $400 laptop you bought to take notes in class and write your papers on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's super cool. I'm glad you had a good experience with it, because we had talked about xCloud a long time ago on the show.
Yeah.
We sort of had our first experiences with it, and I think our initial take was, well, this is a cool supplemental piece, but I don't really know how much I'm interested in it as a main thing. I think the service has gotten a lot better, and I use it as a main thing to play games on all the time now.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thing, is most of my setup is in my office, right? Because of the show and the stream that we do and my stream and stuff, and like moving my Xbox around, it's not that hard, but it's like, guys, it's more steps that I don't want to deal with, you know?
Yeah.
So now just like having this bigger screen than my phone to pop open really quick and try a game, or, you know, play the game like I did for the show and probably will next month's show, is fantastic. It feels like I'm getting the best of everything here, you know?
Yeah.
And I think too, it worked a lot better for me on this tablet than it did my phone.
Yeah,
On a
that's
phone,
super
it feels
fair.
fine, but this, like my controller was separated from it like it would be on a small monitor or a small TV.
Yeah. I think I'm not surprised by that. I don't have a tablet myself, so I've never really done it on a tablet, but I can totally see that being a better experience.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That was it. That it wasn't like the most exciting secret. Sorry if you thought it was bigger than that, but that's what I did differently this month than I've ever done in the past.
Right on. Cool. Well, I'm glad that we got to talk about xCloud again, because we don't really get to talk about it a lot, and I think it's very cool technology. Yeah, so really quick, before we move on to the games we've been playing segment, we did have one piece of viewer mail. I forgot about this, but I just found it. Big Gun wrote in on our Discord. In case you don't know, on the MPI Creates Discord, which you can find a link to in the description of our of the podcast, we have a section on there dedicated to Spark Pass. And you can write in your questions, thoughts, opinions on the game we're playing this month. Big Gun, our homie, wrote in his opinion of Bugsnax. Quote, so my opinion on Bugsnax, it's a fun, chill game when you want to get away from multiplayer games. It's irritating to catch fire-type snacks. I agree. The Scorpeno is a gigantic pain in the ass. Quote, I wish you could combine and add some of the Bugsnax together. Doesn't make much sense to me. But IMO out of 10, I give it a 5. It's a fun, chill-down game. So it sounds like Big Gun was sort of in a similar territory to us, right? Where it's not a bad game, but sort of somewhere in the middle. And I definitely agree with him on, like, it's a fun diversion. Like, if you're mainly hardcore grinding another game, I can see popping this on for an hour or two and having fun with it.
Yeah, and that kind of feels like the perfect scenario for it is, you know, play for a couple hours.
Yeah, run it for like an hour and then move on to another thing, or like the last thing you do before you go to bed or whatever. I can totally see that.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see maybe that would have been a better way for me to get through it. Would have been like catch a bug snack a night kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been a better way for me to get through it, instead of just try to sit down and like banging out with like a few hour long sessions. Maybe that would have been the better way to do this. I don't know. If you guys play Bugsnax for the first time, try it that way and let me know how it works for you.
Yeah,
that's your homework, podcast listener. I require this from you.
All right, Professor. Jesus. Okay. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on the games that we played on previous episodes, feel free to email us, sparkpass@gmail.com, or head to the SparkPass section of our Discord and talk to us there. I love being able to read viewer mail. This is, you know, a Game of the Month club, and you're a member. You listening right now, you're a member of the club. We love hearing from you guys. We don't get to do it enough. So please leave us your thoughts on games. I would love to be able to talk about that stuff more. And thank you to Big Gun for writing in. I really appreciate it. All right, bud. What else have you been playing this month?
Okay. I finally have stuff to talk about on this. Mark, you know, in big surprise to you, I have recently been playing Dead by Daylight and Grand Theft Auto Online. These are both surprises, I am sure, that you would never think I would play, and no one would ever believe it.
I am stunned that for the 12th straight episode, you were talking about Dead by Daylight and GTA 5.
Yeah. Okay, so I played those. Thanks for listening. No, I actually do have some other stuff that I've been playing recently. I don't remember if I talked about this one already on the show. I haven't played it in a little bit, but I did play it not too long ago. There's a game called Forgive Me, Father. Have we talked about this at all?
We have not.
Okay, so Forgive Me, Father is it's kind of like a boomer shooter. So think like old original like Doom and Quake and like that real fast paced, like twitchy, jumpy shooters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is that, but it is all about like Lovecraftian stuff, so Cthulhu and like weird fish monsters and stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it's all hand drawn, like cell shaded, like almost comic book artwork that's animated and moves.
Interesting. Okay.
It's the art style is what drew me in the most. I like these kind of games, like these shooter games that are fast and don't really require a lot of like strategy as opposed to move real quick and kill everything. But the art style just like blew my mind. It's just really cool. That's kind of all there is to it. There's a little bit of story under it, but it's not much. It's mostly like get from point A to point B and kill everything.
Sure. Yeah. I that sounds really great. By the way, as an aside, one of my new favorite genres right now is the boomer shooter. I love that the ideas of old school Doom and Wolfenstein and Duke Nukem and like these sort of old school shooters, even though this was not a genre that I'm like a huge fan of, I love that style of shooter is making a comeback. I think it's very cool that fans have sort of grabbed onto those old games that they love, because that's the thing is like the shooter genre, the first person shooter genre had just continued moving forward and never stopped to look back for a very long time. Right.
Yeah.
Whereas you think about like the platformer genre stops and looks back all the time. There's so many like tributes to 8-bit and 16-bit classics of the era. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Other genres do this all the time. The shooter had never really done it a whole hell of a lot. It seems like, to me at least, most first-person shooter games are looking to push the genre or the art form of video games forward. It's cool that we now have a subgenre of the first-person shooter that is looking back. I love the boomer shooter idea. I hope to see more of them.
Yeah, and I think what I kind of like about it the most is, you know, people all the time are complaining about indie games. They're like, well, it's not 4K. It's not 420,000 frames per second. Blah. You know those. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, people
that was a pretty accurate thing, right?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. Yeah, people that think video games are just a series of numbers called frame rate rather than an enjoyable video game experience. Yeah, absolutely. I know what you're talking about.
And I think the cool thing about that is I feel like this is blending and meshing the best of both of those things. We have the nostalgia of like the old Duke Nukem feel and the old Doom feel with the quick movement and the way that the game is laid out and how you pick up your armor and your health and all of your stuff. But it's also taking advantage of how far technology has come so that you're moving this fast and your frames are moving fast too.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel choppy or like you're moving fast, but you're kind of not. Like if you played the older games back, like on old machines, they didn't move as smooth and fluidly. So I feel like you get the best of both worlds, and that will kind of bring those people in who are only there for the fast frame rate, shoot as fast as possible, in to see this is what shooters used to be, and this is kind of where the roots were. Give it a shot now that it's a little bit more modernized, but still the same vein as it used to be back in like the 90s.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, it sounds great to me. What was the name of the game again?
Forgive Me, Father.
There you go. That's put that one on your radar, folks. That's one to check out.
Yeah, it's a great game, and it's not super expensive either, if I remember right. If you're planning to buy it, I don't think it's on Game Pass. I think it's
no, it's not
$20. But it goes on sale pretty regularly, so keep an eye out on it. If it goes on sale, I definitely would recommend it. Even if not, $20 is a pretty good price for it. All right, I got two more.
Okay,
one of them is just a demo. So I guess I'm going to count it, though. You reminded me of this demo.
Oh, yeah.
Metal Hellsinger.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into this thing.
I'm fucking stoked about this game.
Yeah, dude. Like, I remember when this got announced, and I immediately... I think I was watching it on my stream. It was at the Game Awards, and I went, yeah, just put that on my computer now. For whatever amount of money you want. Here's a blank check. You're not going to get a lot out of it, but it's still going to be more than $20. Write whatever number you want and I will pay it.
Right.
So this game is a rhythm-based shooter, which, okay, we've had those before, Spencer. Why do you care about this? Well, listen to the name of it again. Metal Hellsinger. Okay, so most rhythm games are usually kind of like dancey and drum bass, or even like 8-bit, like real video game soundy, right?
Right. Yeah.
This is all just a bunch of heavy death metal happening around you, and you're hitting on like the drum beat of it. So the beat is still the same idea, but the rest of the music around you is like just the heaviest guitars, and the vocals, when you get to them in your combo, they only activate when your combo is as high as it can be at 16 times. And it's just so fucking cool to have that kind of representation in video games. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people are really turned off by harsh metal music. And if you're not into it, that's cool. I get it. It's not for everyone. That's totally fine. But there are so many people I know that play video games that also like live and breathe heavy music. So now I get to mesh those things together. And it's a shooter where I'm just killing a bunch of demons. What else could I want out of a game, man? Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And the names they have behind it are huge. Like, the two off the top of my head I can think of are Serge Takian from System of a Down was involved with this.
Holy fuck, really?
Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, which is like,
oh, wow.
like top tier metal music. Like, if you think metal music and you're into screamy lyrics, you know who Lamb of God is. Like,
Right.
There's no one in this world who doesn't know who Randy Blythe is. And he was, like, all in on this project. So that too kind of, like, it gives it that credit. It gives it that street cred with the metal kids. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
The demo was, like, 30-ish minutes. You play through, like, a couple levels, and it gives you some weapons, and you kind of figure out how different weapons work. And then you fight a boss, and then it's like, great. Now go buy the game, obviously. That's what the demos are for. But people on Twitter are still going back and replaying this demo over and over again to try to get to the top of the leaderboards.
Yeah.
That's just in the demo. Like, man, think about the full game release. How many people are going to be doing that?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super great.
So yeah, if you guys are into metal music or shooters and like just killing demons in hell, go check out this demo. I think it's only available on Steam. Is the demo on Xbox? Do you know?
The demo is only on Steam, but
Okay.
I just went to double check on release date on this. So it's PC, PS5, and the Xbox Series console, so it's just current gen. It's not on previous gen. It's coming out September 15th.
Okay, so yeah, that's like right around the corner.
Yep, so a couple months
away.
on that one.
Yeah.
That's definitely a game I'm looking forward to, too. I'm not as big of a metalhead as you. I do enjoy metal music on occasion, but it's not super my jam. I have to be in a mood for it. But you put that in video game form, and you can get me in the mood for it very quickly. I love this idea of the rhythm shooter. I'm so glad the FPS genre is getting innovated on now.
Yeah.
For so long, it was just war shooter, sci-fi shooter, war shooter. I'm so glad that this genre is finally getting innovation out on its fringes again. I'm super. This is another one that I'm super stoked about.
Yeah, and like the only things I can think of that have kind of innovated on this much is like Borderlands sort of did with being like class shooters and or like looter shooters like that, and Destiny.
Yeah.
And then God, dude, it's been years since this game came out. I think we were still in high school, but Bulletstorm. Do you remember that game?
I do. I never played it, but I remember it.
That game was sick, dude. Like, it just kind of added, like, that next thing of... It still did, like, you know, the same Call of Duty point A, point B campaign shooter, whatever. But, you know, you had a little bit more to it. These kind of feel like we're just getting to those next steps of really evolving the shooter genre to be more than just your Call of Duties and your Halos, where it's a lot of arena shooter or, like... You know, you go point A, point B, and shoot a bunch of bad dudes along the way. Woohoo! So I like seeing it go somewhere new. And I think it will hopefully help people branch out who are mostly first-person shooters to see okay, well, shooters can be something else and be fun. Well, what about all these other games that are out here? Maybe those will be interesting to check out too.
Yeah. It helps move the entire medium forward. I love it.
Yeah, I'm into it. I only have one other game left, and I don't have a whole lot to say about it yet because I started it yesterday. But I started The Quarry.
Yeah, I knew you were going to end up on this at some point. Yeah. This is Supermassive's new thing, right?
So yeah, this is the new game from Supermassive, the same people who made Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures anthologies. But this one is published by 2K. So it's not part of the Dark Pictures anthology. It's not in that universe. It's completely separate. And being published by 2K, no shade to Bandai Namco, but this one being published by 2K had a much, much bigger budget. And it is a much bigger, grander scale of a game. To give you an idea of the budget, let me just read you 2 cast members alone. And then you can kind of fill in the rest here because there's more. We have Brenda Song and David Arquette.
Well,
like 2 main characters in this game.
Yeah, so we're not talking A-list actors, but we're talking we're pretty high up there.
Yeah, like these are not unknown people by any means.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see them in this, and like we've seen how well Supermassive does with capturing faces. You know, the lips sometimes don't work perfectly, but when you're looking at that actor's face, you immediately go, I know that actor. So it's been kind of cool to see them so far in it. I know very little about the story. I know very little about really much anything going on in the game because I'm less than 3 hours into it. But it's the same enough if you liked Until Dawn or the Dark Pictures games that you're going to like it. But there are some subtle differences in there. Like, when you're walking in a big open area, instead of the camera being fixed in corners, it will actually become a third person over the shoulder camera, and you can walk around almost completely freely and look completely freely. And then when you walk into like a smaller cabin area or a smaller room, then it kind of jumps to that fixed camera view that we're used to with these games.
That's awesome. Best of both worlds then, right? Because the advantage of the fixed camera is that you can use it for scary moments, right? You can use it to help you get that claustrophobic feeling, right? But in areas where you do need freedom of movement, they give you that. Best of both worlds. That's a great change.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting it because in the prologue, you don't ever have it. In the prologue, it looks the exact same as it always has, kind of just, updated graphics a little bit.
Yeah.
But then the first time I get to control someone in chapter 1, it jumped to this over camera third person view. And I was like, wait, I can just go wherever I want. I can see whatever I want. This is awesome. And I feel like it's going to be easier to find secrets that way too. And apparently there are just a metric ton of collectibles in this game.
Yeah.
Like, just so many from what I've been reading. From some of their like community managers on Twitter, like teasing it out there a little bit. Like, did you guys find everything? Are you sure you found everything? And I'm like, I have no idea. I can't trust anything now. But other than that, it's mostly been the same so far as those other games go. Just feels a little bit more updated and maybe even a little bit more polished because it probably did have, a bigger budget that went to development and not just the cast.
Yeah.
But if you like these games in the past, so far from what I can tell, 3 hours in, you'll enjoy it. The cast feels a little bit more likable. Like all of the characters so far, I haven't been like, dude, I really hate this guy yet, except for like one in the prologue. I was like, that guy sucks, but he's not a controllable main character. Where I feel like all of the other games, there were a lot of times with most of the characters, or at least one where I was like, I really do not like this person. They are not a good person at all.
Yeah, there's always one dickhead, right?
And
I've noticed that in their games. Yeah,
even the guy who's like supposed to be the like kind of asshole jock guy in this one when we're going with like 80s horror tropes. Even he's kind of like, all right, this guy's just kind of a goofball, and like he might be a little annoying because he's kind of a doof, but he doesn't feel like he's a bad person.
Sure.
So
Yeah, right on.
That's been kind of refreshing to be like, I don't want any of these characters to die. I don't want to lose anyone. Not because I want the achievement, but because, damn it, they're all nice.
Yeah, that's great. That's all. I'm glad that they've seemingly found the mix, because like you said, there's always one in those games, like from Until Dawn, from the one Dark Pictures game I played. There's always one that's just kind of a motherfucker that you're willing to let go. But yep. I'm glad they found the mix.
Yeah. So I've enjoyed the little bit that I got through. Like I said, I'm not that far into it, and I will certainly end up playing through multiple times of this game, like I always do with all of these, trying to find everything or save everyone if I don't do it the first time through. So hopefully next month I'll have a lot more thoughts on it. But if so far, from what I can tell, if you like these games, check it out.
Sick. Right on.
I think that's it. That's all I really got.
Okay. So I've got a bunch. So I'm going to be brief on a couple of these, but and a couple of these are games we've already talked about in past episodes, so I'll be brief on those. I'm revisiting Forza Horizon 5. Yep, this game still fucks. I don't know what else you need me to say. It absolutely fucking slaps. I haven't had a ton of time to play it lately, and I was a little bit worried about it not like having the long tail feeling of joy that I got out of 3 and 4.
Sure.
Nah. Don't worry.
Still there.
Still 100% there. This is absolutely 2021 Game of the Year, #1 with a bullet. Go fucking play it. Halo Infinite. I've been playing a lot of Halo lately. They put out the Fracture event for the Eagle Strike armor, which is their sort of send up to the Imperial Guard of Warhammer 40k. And that armor looks dope, so I've been grinding for it. Mostly as a result, been playing the new land grab game mode and been having a lot of fun. I think land grab is probably my favorite game mode that I've played in Halo Infinite so far, and I've really been enjoying my time. And the grind has not been insufferable. I've made it through 20 levels of the fractured, event pass or whatever, and I've had fun. So Halo Infinite, for all of its problems, I'm still having fun with the game, right?
Okay, good. Man, I think you've played more Halo Infinite than I have.
I was curious about this, so I checked. You have played 8 more hours of Halo Infinite than I have.
Really? That's kind of surprising.
I'm catching up to you, slowly but surely. I'll get there.
I guess I went really deep on release, and then I've kind of been like, meh on it since then.
Yeah. I went and double-checked, because I had that exact same question of like, have I played more Halo than Spencer? That would be fucking weird.
Probably by next month's episode you will.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to grind out one more event pass to get all the way up to 30, so I'll have a couple more hours at least. I don't play a ton unless there's like an event pass or a particular armor that I want to grind for. That's really the only times I've been playing the game. But Halo Infinite, again, we've talked about Halo Infinite's issues a million times. For its multiplayer side, the campaign is still spectacular. I played Multiverses. So this was in open alpha over the past month. This game is way more fun than I thought it was going to be. This is the Warner Brothers Smash clone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I was stunned at how much more fun this game was than I thought it was going to be. I mostly played Bugs Bunny throughout the whole thing. But there's a ton of different Warner Brothers characters. They own DC. They own fucking everything under the sun, right? There's Game of Thrones characters in there. A bunch of wacky shit. There's rumors, by the way, that they're going to put actual literal LeBron James in the game as a Space Jam tie-in, and I'm fucking so stoked about that.
Dude, I didn't even think about that.
Yep. They're talking about
that would be cool.
Yeah, that was in a data leak.
So goofy.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that premise. The game is way more fun than I thought it would be. And the service around it, I'm a big fighting game fan. We talk all the time about how we want rollback netcode. We want crossplay. We want manageable lobbies. The lobbies need some work, but it's crossplay. It's got rollback. It's on all platforms. The service around the game, it's free to play, which is something some fighting games or fans are really wanting the genre to go that free to play direction.
Yeah.
It's got everything that we've been asking for in terms of service. Whether the gameplay will hold up past the alpha stage, I had fun with the alpha. Was a week. Me and the homies from my fighting game Discord. Shout outs to Coffee and Combos. Love you guys. You're the boys. Had a blast with it for the week that we had to play it. Whether it will hold up beyond that, we'll see. We'll find out. But it's definitely put the game on my radar now. I was kind of expecting to play the alpha and be like, nah, it was fun, move on with my life, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm actually going to put a little bit of time into this game once it actually comes out. So that was wildly unexpected.
Okay.
I played Trek to Yomi and finished it. This game's only 5 hours long, so I got all the way through it. We decided against doing an episode about it, so I'm just going to talk about it here. I wanted to like it more than I liked it, unfortunately. This game is absolutely gorgeous. It's this sort of send-up of old samurai films, specifically Miyazaki films. And it's story-wise, it's straight up your stereotypical samurai story of samurai protects a village, the village gets attacked and destroyed, you have to go out for vengeance, right? It's this very simple samurai story.
Right.
Unfortunately, to me, it's a gorgeous game. It's a beautiful game. The cinematography and the visuals are all there. It's only skin deep, dude. Like, once you unlock the combo that's like a light into a stun attack, and then you can do the finisher. Like, you unlock that like 2 hours into the game, it beats the game. You've won. Like, once you unlock that, you just do that to every enemy, they die immediately. The boss fights are a little difficult, but it's just, I don't know, like, the combat is really more clunky than it felt like it needed to be. Like, combat in these samurai movies is very smooth and fluid. The combat felt pretty clunky to me. It reminded me a lot of, like, this feels like those old Xbox Live Arcade, like, Summer of Arcade games. This feels like it would have been a feature game of that era of indie games, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I didn't think it was a bad game. Again, the game's only like 4 or 5 hours. I felt it sort of wearing thin for me by hour 3. I think if you're between games, I think this is a game that you can check out, and it's enjoyable. I didn't love it as much as I was hoping I was going to love it. Aesthetically, I adored it. It's a 10 out of 10 on aesthetics, probably like a 5 out of 10 on gameplay. It comes out to around a 7, I think is where I'm at on it.
That's not too bad then. Still kind of a bummer.
Yeah, a little bit of a bummer, a little bit of a shame, but the game's not awful or anything. I think it's worth taking a look at if you're into old samurai films, especially, which I watched a lot of old samurai films in college. Yeah. As part of like my film studies courses, right? So if you like that genre, you'll love it. You'll love it here. And then I'm gonna end the games I've been playing segment with 2 JRPG adjacent things. One's a straight up JRPG and the other one's adjacent. This is not my genre at all, so I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah, we're moving out here, aren't we? All right.
Yeah, we really are. Aiden Chronicle Rising. So this is a JRPG Metroidvania hybrid game. So Aiden Chronicle 100 Heroes is coming out next year, and it's a proper JRPG. It is the spiritual successor to Suikoden. The developers of Suikoden left the company that they were working for, and they did a Kickstarter for their new thing, right? Aiden Chronicle Rising is a prequel that was a Kickstarter, like, stretch goal, essentially. They said, hey, if we make enough money, we will make this prequel game that's different in gameplay style, but will introduce you to the world. And that game is Aiden Chronicle Rising. It's like an 8-hour, like I said, Metroidvania JRPG hybrid. There's a little bit of platforming, a little bit of RPG action. It's aesthetically very pretty. It's gorgeous. If you've ever seen like Octopath Traveler and this game have a pretty similar art style, where it's 2D sprites, but they use all the modern accoutrement of like 3D lighting, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Aesthetically, it's very pretty. And the world and the characters and the writing is really nice. The game's a little repetitive, so I kind of fell off of it after about 4 or so hours. Basically, the gameplay loop of it is there's like 5 worlds that you can go to. You go to those 5 worlds, beat up a boss, and collect resources and bring those back to the village. And you're basically building up the village that I presume will play a key role in the main game that comes out next year, right?
Okay.
So it kind of put the main game on my radar. It wasn't a spectacular game by any stretch of the imagination, but the writing was really good. It was like really snappy, and the back and forth between the characters was really nice. So not a game that I'm like losing my mind over, but it put the main Aiden Chronicle game on my radar. So if that's what they set out to do for this game, this was like introducing the game world. Mission accomplished. They nailed it.
Nice. I'm glad that it worked out and you enjoyed it then. It's cool that it's different, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting that they chose to make a prequel game that is completely different in style to the game that's coming out. Because Suikoden is a very traditional JRPG, and they have said it's going to be in that style.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think is interesting, is it's like the prequel is going to be like an entirely different game. And I wonder if part of that is to try to bring in different people. Like, maybe you wouldn't normally be into their games, but if you get hooked on the story, you might try. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's probably what they had in mind, right? Was that they wanted something that could bring in, everybody plays, indie Metroidvanias, right? Maybe this would pull them in, and then they can play the main game later on down the line, right? Cool idea. And I mean, I will keep an eye on the main Aiden Chronicles game. By the way, that game is coming to Game Pass, so won't even have to put money down on it, which is tight.
There you go. Can't beat
the last game that I've played this month, and I just started on this one. I'm only 3 hours deep, so I don't have a whole lot to say just yet. Is Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive Age. And I think that is a highly appropriate subtitle, because this is definitely an echo back to very old school 2D JRPGs, but updated for the modern era. This was just a game I was in the mood for. Like, I was just in the mood for an old school, like, NES style JRPG. And I couldn't tell you why. I just, once in a blue moon, I get in a mood for these kind of games, right?
Yeah.
So I put out the recommendation on Twitter, like, hey, I'm in the mood for this. What should I play? Preferably if it's on Game Pass. And our buddy Johnny, Minish Cap 1, by the way, great dude. Go watch his Twitch streams. Challenger level League of Legends player and a stand-up guy, recommended to me
guy about the Game Pass stuff with League. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we need to talk to him about, maybe we can bring him in or something to talk about the Game Pass stuff. Cool. That'd be a cool idea. He recommended Dragon Quest XI to me, and it is 100% scratching the itch that I wanted it scratched. It is a old school JRPG. If you don't know Dragon Quest is sort of the grandfather of the Japanese JRPG. This franchise is gigantic in Japan. Never got super popular over here, but over there it's gigantic. Literally, local Japanese governments got in contact with Enix back in the day to tell them, hey, listen, look, everybody loves your games, we get it. Could you please release them on the weekend? like the Japanese government had to mandate for a little bit that Dragon Quest games got released on the weekend so that workers wouldn't call in from work en masse.
Damn,
right?
Dude.
Like, this franchise is massive over there. And it just, like, Final Fantasy sort of became the one that was popular over here in the West, right?
Mm-hmm.
For Japan, it was Dragon Quest that ended up getting more popular. Obviously, Square and Enix are now one company, so they make both now, right? But it's very much just an old school, classic JRPG with a tiny little bit of open world exploring mixed in. It's still areas, like you walk into an area and it loads. It's very much in the style of like the Final Fantasy games that I've played, which is like 10 is the main one that I've played, is very much in the same style, where you like walk into an area, you can freely explore that area, and then you hit a gate, and that gate leads you to the next area, right? So I'm not super deep into it yet. This game is like long. It's like 50, 60 hours, so I'll probably be reporting back on this for a while.
Yeah, that's a long game, dude.
Yeah. Well, the way I'm attacking it, and the way I've decided I want to play this game is I'm playing it like an hour before bed. I'm not like hardcore grinding on it. Like on the weekend, I'll hardcore grind on some other game, right? But like I'm tired, I get home from work, and Dragon Quest almost seems conducive to that, because whenever you load up your save, it gives you a quick little text recap of what's going on in the story, which is really cool. So I've never felt like lost or like confused about what was going on. It's always very clear what you need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think the game is super neat, and the fucking music, oh, it's phenomenal. It's the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra does these live recordings. Apparently, the original recordings in Dragon Quest XI are quite derided, so they re-recorded them for this like definitive edition release. That's the one on Game Pass. With the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra, and it is gorgeous. The battle theme lives in my head fucking rent-free, my guy. It is beautiful. It's so good.
Yeah, I like never really get into a lot of these games as far as playing them, but dude, the soundtracks are always fantastic.
Yeah, dude.
For really any JRPG game has some of the best soundtracks out there.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Dragon Quest XI's music is so great. It's very horns forward. It reminds me of like old anime. It's like 70s, 80s anime kind of vibe, which is appropriate given Dragon Quest is a very old school franchise. Like Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, does the art for Dragon Quest to give you a sense, right?
Okay.
So it's very much like 70s, 80s anime style. It's sort of their take on the classic Dungeons and Dragons Western RPG, right? So I not too much to say on it just yet, even though I've been sitting here talking about it for several minutes. Game so far is really fun. Hopefully I stick with it. This is a game that I actually plan on trying out a little bit on xCloud as well, because I feel like it's a game that would be really conducive to that.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a game that would work out really well on the old Razer Kishi, so on the phone. So I'll be reporting back on that one for the next several months, probably, because I'm trying to attack it slowly, right?
For the rest of the year.
Right, yeah. 6 months later. So I'm 42 hours deep into Dragon Quest XI. Fuck this fucking game. That's probably where I'll get, to be honest. But yeah, I think that's it. Oh, I played a little bit of Sea of Thieves just to get a new outfit. That's it. I did that literally yesterday. Yeah.
Another little plug for the Discord. If you haven't, and you jump in there, make sure you check out Fishhook posting that all them new outfits from Sea of Thieves. Eventually that channel is going to become Sea of Thieves fashion.
Yeah, I needed a drip check. I needed the homies to let me know that I'm looking fly. I needed that sense of validation from everybody. So appreciate that, boys. So yeah, that's everything I've been playing, and let's put a bow on this show. You can catch us anywhere on social media: Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. You can catch the SparkPass Daily News on Instagram and TikTok. Email us, sparkpass@gmail.com, if you have thoughts on the games that we've played previously or the game that we're going to be playing next month. You can also hit us up on the Discord that is within the MPI Creates Discord. You can find all that information at linktr.ee/sparkpass. We have all of our stuff gathered together in one big package for you. So anything that we do out there in internet land, you can check it out there. The game we're playing next month, or should I say the games we're playing next month. Woo, we're playing 2. Because this month has been crazy and we're putting out an episode every week like a bunch of madmen, we wanted sort of a smaller game for us to play for next month. And we decided to do 2. So we both decided to bring 2 or 1 small, bite-sized, 2 to 3 hour or less game. So Spencer suggested 1, I suggested 1. Spencer, you suggested Unpacking.
Yes.
And I brought Donut County. So we are going to be playing both Donut County and Unpacking next month. You're getting a 2-for-1 special in July. So that will be the games that we're playing. Be sure to come back for that next month, but come back next week for Spencer's audio essay on Hellblade: Sinuous Sacrifice as well, which I'm super looking forward to. I know nothing about it, so I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah, I wish we would have done mine first. I feel like yours was like a trillion times better.
Dude, yours is gonna be great. I'm not letting you downplay. I'm not letting you downplay at the end of the show when we're trying to hype it up. I'm hyping you up, big dog. It's going to be great.
Because I get to talk about a game that I like, but like, man, yours was so much cooler. Yours was like a story.
I had a tale to tell.
Yeah,
check that out on the
like
backlogs.
Report.
My man is standing up there for his book report. Today I'm going to talk to you about Hellblade: Sinuous Sacrifice.
Yeah. In conclusion, play Hellblade.
Is a good game. So be ready for that next week. And next month, we'll play Donut County and Unpacking. So thank you guys so much for listening. Appreciate your time, effort, and attention. And we will see you guys then. Take care, everybody.